Okay, fairy tales, friends. We are taking a look at our Little Red Riding Hood fairy tale today. Before we hop into it, I want us to review what our fairy tales are, okay? So here is what our goal is for today.
By now, you should have a pretty good grasp on retelling folk tales, specifically fairy tales. You should know about the beginning, middle, and end, and all of the other elements we've been tracking, such as the problem, solution, and the types of characters we normally see. Today, as you're working and learning about a new fairy tale, I want you to be thinking about how you will be creating your own comic version of a fairy tale. As you look at the text today, pay special attention to the features, such as the captions and the speech bubbles. Notice how long some of the speech bubbles are, and how important it is to have a lot of detail in your setting.
All right, so today we're going to take a look specifically at fairy tales that are told through graphic novels or comics. Ooh, because this is what you will be creating. As you just heard, I want you to pay attention to the speech bubbles. We see an example of speech bubbles here. And to captions, these little gray boxes. Transylvania, Once Upon a Time, The Land of Phantoms. Okay? So I want you to pay very, very, very careful attention to those because you are going to be in charge of adding them in your own version of a fairy tale comic. Any questions so far? Yes, Tim?
What was the question again?
The question was, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right. So today we are going to be looking at fairy tales. Remember, fairy tales are a kind of folk tale. They have royalty or talking animals. Today in Little Red Riding Hood, we're going to meet some talking animals. There is also a problem of good versus evil. Okay, there is a good character, typically our main character. There's an evil character, typically the bad guy or the bad girl. Solution is magic or life lesson. Okay, so there's either going to be some magic involved or there's going to be something that you can learn about life. All right. Today, we're going to take a look at Little Red Riding Hood, the original version, through a graphic novel, through a comic. I want you to pay attention to who are the characters, what is the problem, and what is the solution. Okay? So sit back, get comfy, enjoy, listen, and here we go.
Red Riding Hood, the graphic novel. Retold by Martin Powell. Illustrated by Victor Rebus. Cast of characters.
Ruby, Grandma,
Father,
Mother,
the wolf.
Dun, dun, dun.
Transylvania, the land of phantoms and the birthplace of almost every scary story ever told. Once upon a time.
It's been a while since you visited my tent.
You're Magda. You read my fortune when I was a little girl.
So, did I tell you the truth?
Yes, I've had a happy life. I even have a beautiful little granddaughter, just like you said.
All right, so I want you to pay attention to the captions, right? Transylvania, the land of phantoms and the birthplace of almost every scary story ever told. So before we've ever started the story, we already know it's in Transylvania. We already know it's going to be scary. And then it begins with Once Upon a Time, right? I also want you to notice the directionality of the graphic novel. Okay, so let's take a look here. We start off, there we go. We start off with one caption, and it belongs to this person down here. So it's showing us that it's far away, okay? Then the comics flow. We read here, then we move here, then we move down. Just like if this were a standard novel, we'd start at the top, we'd go across, we'd go down. We'd start at the top, we'd go across, we'd go down. We'd start here, we'd go across, we'd go down. You read them in the same way, okay? A lot of students think comics are just put the words wherever you want to have them and let the reader figure it out. Nope, they are still read the same way. We're starting at the top, we're moving across, and then we go down and move across. And then we go back up to the top and we move across, and then we go down and we move across. There is still an order to these comics, okay? All right, so far, Grandma's getting her fortune read. Let's see what happens.
Come, dear. My crystal can tell you much more. Mercy on you!
What's wrong, Magda? What did you see?
Evil creatures prowl the woods. They cannot enter our homes unless they are invited inside. Take this red cloth. Whatever you make with it will protect you, but only during the daylight hours.
I'm afraid I don't have any money.
It's a gift. It will protect the thing dearest to you, your life.
The thing dearest to me.
All right, so Grandma has been given a magic cloak. It's going to protect her during the day, or whatever is wearing it during the day. We're going to be able to make a guess at who she's going to give it to. Again, notice we start here, we go across. We go to the next page or panel. We start at the top, we go across, we move down, we go across. We read this one first. We don't go over here and read and then come back. We read these the same order, the same way that we would read a standard book, okay? All right, let's find out what Grandma's going to protect with the red cloak.
Several weeks later. Look how pretty!
Remember, stay on the road.
Several weeks later.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Look how pretty! A riding hood and cape! In my favorite color, too!
It's lovely, Ruby dear.
Must have taken Grandma a long time to make. She loves you more than anything.
I'm so sorry she's sick.
It's just a cold. A visit from you will help her feel a lot better, you'll see. In her letter, Grandma said that this riding hood would protect you. She wants you to wear it every time you go outside.
All right, so again, start at the top. We got a caption here, several weeks later. So it's been some time since Grandma first got the cloak. Now Red Riding Hood has it. Let's go see where she's going on her visit.
Remember, stay on the road.
And don't talk to any people you don't know.
This is so much fun. I get to walk to Grandma's house all by myself. This is my best birthday ever. What was that noise?
Dun, dun, dun.
Maybe it was just the wind. Besides, I'm not scared. My riding hood and cape will keep me safe. Grandma said so. Oh!
Good afternoon. Are you here all alone?
You can talk! I never saw a wolf that could speak like a man.
I dare say there are plenty of things in this world that you still haven't seen, little girl. Where did you get that riding hood?
It's a birthday present from my grandma. I'm on my way to spend the night at her house.
How thoughtful of her. And in my favorite color, I see. It's a pleasure to meet you, Red Riding Hood.
Oh, we haven't been introduced. How do you do, Mr. Wolf? My name is Ruby.
Do you mind if I keep you company, Ruby?
Well, I'm not supposed to talk to strange people, but you're not exactly a person, are you?
No, indeed.
All right, let's see what this red cloak's magic powers are of keeping her safe. Looking a little dangerous.
You look like a princess to me, Ruby. I bet your grandma owns a grand palace.
I'm not a princess, silly. Grandma lives in the little cottage at the end of the road.
Ah, yes. I know the place you mean.
Grandma hasn't been feeling well, so I'm bringing her some cake and cookies.
I wish I could do something nice for your grandma, too. I have the perfect idea.
You do?
A 4-leaf clover will make her healthy again.
You're right! Everybody knows that 4-leaf clovers are good luck. I bet there's 1,000,000 of them in here.
Then you'd better start looking right away. I'll let your grandma know that you might be a little late. See you soon, Red Riding Hood.
All right, that wolf is a trickster. Something else I want to point out about our dialogue. Look how many words are on this page. There are a lot, okay? Notice the wolf didn't just say, let's go, because the audience is going to say, go where? So they're being very specific with their language, okay? Lots of dialogue here, lots of speech happening, lots of conversation. Again, that order stays the same. We start at the top, we go across, we move down, we go across, we move down, we go across, we move down, we go across. The order stays the same. Very important so that your comic is not confusing.
Moments later, at Grandma's house,
Come on in, child. Just lift the latch. You're a little late, Ruby dear. Did you get lost? Ruby! Oh!
meanwhile, back at the clover field,
Finally, I found one! A 4-leaf clover! I didn't think it would take me so long. It'll be dark soon. I better hurry so Grandma doesn't worry. Whew! I barely made it. Another moment and I might have been lost in the dark. Grandma? It's me, Ruby! Sorry I'm so late. Are you asleep? Grandma?
Uh-oh, I don't think this has turned out well for Grandma. Also, it's nighttime. Think about what that means for the cloak.
Why, there you are. I thought maybe you'd forgotten your poor grandma.
I'd never do that, Grandma. See? Here's a whole basket full of goodies and wildflowers for you.
How sweet, my dear. Grandma's not wearing her spectacles. Bring the basket closer so I can see everything better.
That's not all. A lucky 4-leaf clover just for you. Now you'll get better for sure.
Oh, how lovely. Grandma's so weak. Come closer, girl.
Dun, dun, dun.
You sound kind of funny, Grandma.
My throat is scratchy, child, that's all. Come closer.
Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have.
The better to see you with, my dear.
And what big teeth you have.
Yes.
Mm.
The better to eat you with, my dear.
I think not! Grandma, where are you?
She can't help you now. She was a bit tough, not as tender and juicy as you will be.
Stay back!
Foolish girl, don't you know anything? Your riding hood can't protect you at night. Ah! Ugh.
Don't you know anything, Mr. Wolf? Little girls aren't as foolish as you think.
Huh?
We are the souls of the people the wolf ate. We are free now. Thank you, Ruby.
After that day, Red Riding Hood continued to visit her grandma's cottage often, planting flowers, bringing cookies, and reading her books by the fireplace. It was her favorite place to be, because her grandma loved the brave girl so very much. In fact, more than anything.
Oh, the end music didn't play. Sorry, I thought it was on the next slide. All right, so we have got our original fairy tale version. Okay, let's hop to Seesaw, please. Go ahead and hop over to Seesaw, click on your activities. You will see an activity called Fairy Tale Characteristics, Little Red Riding Hood. Fairy Tale Characteristics, Little Red Riding Hood. Go ahead and open that up. Inside of your sample response, you will see on slide 3 is a picture of the graphic novel that we just read. I'd like for us to take a look at the characters, the problem, and the solution together and see how that makes it a fairy tale. Okay. Remember, our fairy tale characters are typically talking animals or royalty. So which one did we have inside of this fairy tale? What do we have, Leah?
We had a talking wolf.
We did have a talking wolf. A talking wolf. Now, let's also focus on who were our main characters. So not every single character in the story, but who were the main people that were important? Who else was important in this? Justin, who else was important?
Grandma.
Grandma. Yep, Grandma was very important. It was her house they were going to. She's the reason they were out there. She's the one the wolf wanted. Lots there. Camille, who else was important?
Red Riding Hood.
Yep. Her name is in the title, for goodness sake, so she better be important, right? So we've got a talking wolf, we've got Grandma, and we've got Red Riding Hood. Go ahead and track those characters, please. I'll give you a moment. I also want you to be thinking about the problem. Remember, in our problem, it is usually inside of a fairy tale that there is good versus evil. Okay, good versus evil. Who was the good? Who was the evil inside of this fairy tale? Who was our good? Who was our evil? Steve, who was our good character?
Little Red Riding Hood and Grandma.
And what were their problems?
A talking wolf.
All right. And what problem did they all have together?
The wolf.
The wolf wanted to what?
Eat them.
Ah, that's terrible. The wolf wanted to eat them. That's a very large problem to have, right? When you want to stay alive, you don't want a wolf eating you. So the wolf wanted to eat Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood. Goodness gracious, I can't type today. That was the problem. The evil there is the wolf. The good there is the Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood wanting to live. Go ahead and copy that down. Okay. Our solution, remember, inside of a fairy tale, our solution is usually magic or a life lesson. What did we have inside of this one? Was it solved by magic or a life lesson? Tim?
Thinking maybe life lesson.
Okay, what would the lesson be?
Don't underestimate people.
Yeah, don't underestimate people, right? The wolf underestimated Little Red Riding Hood and thought, oh, well, she'll be easy. I can take her. The grandma probably underestimated the wolf, thinking, oh, it's just my little granddaughter. Okay, so good. There's a life lesson there. Other thoughts? William, in the chat, you said magic. What magic did you see at the end of the story?
Her riding hood. It could only protect in the day.
She what?
Her riding hood. Her hood.
Oh, the hood. Yes, that kept her safe and protected her. Awesome. Thank you.
Could protect her in the day.
Yes. Okay. So we had a solution. The hood protected her in the forest. So there were kind of two solutions here. There's a reason the wolf didn't eat her in the forest, and it's because that hood could protect her during the day. Okay, so that was one solution. Then we had a solution at the end as well. At the end, we brought in Tim's solution of don't underestimate your opponents, right? Don't underestimate people. Okay, and there's a solution where the wolf learned, oh, shoot, she knows what she's doing, right? He thought it was going to be easy and it wasn't. Okay, lots of different solutions there. I see lots of hands. Did we have other ideas for solutions? Yes, Terrence.
So I have both of them. So the hood protector in the forest, and the life lesson you can learn is don't talk to strangers.
Very true. That's another great life lesson there. You don't have to write everything that I'm writing. Okay. I'm just going to add that in there. That's a very large theme of Little Red Riding Hood. Don't talk to strangers. You do not have to write everything. I'm just capturing our ideas. Yes, Leah.
So magic was at the end because when she killed the wolf, all the spirits came out, but she could see them.
It's true. The spirits of all the people that the wolf had eaten came out. And when they came out, she was able to talk with them and see them. That is a little bit of magic there, isn't it? So yes, we do have some magic. Very, very, very true. Yes, Braden.
Can I just say, how did she lift up that axe and kill the wolf?
She must have been working out, hitting that gym, splitting that wood. Yes, Terrence.
When we read the other story, can you unlock mine out so we can follow along?
I'm going to leave it up here. You'll have access to mine later, but I don't want you to have both audios going. Yes, Bella.
Can you put it in the chat?
I'm not going to put this in the chat. I want you guys to get your keyboarding skills up because you're getting ready to have to type a lot, but I'll leave the screen here for you. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So now we're going to take a look at that fractured version. Fractured versions, you can still tell that they're the original fairy tale. Okay, so we still know it's going to be Red Riding Hood. We still know that it's going to have a grandma. We still know that there's going to be a wolf-like character, something like that. But something is going to be different about it. Maybe the way the problem is solved. Maybe the way that it ends. Maybe the way that the characters are. Something is going to change, okay? So as you're looking at the fractured version of Little Red Riding Hood, I want you to be thinking about the same elements: the characters, the problem, and the solution. Okay? This version of Red Riding Hood is Red Riding Hood Superhero. Dun, 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 dun. So in this version, she has been changed to a that was loud, a superhero. Okay? Still going to have the same characters, still going to have the same type of problem and situation going on, but let's see how it's different.
Far Out Fairy Tales, Red Riding Hood, Superhero, a graphic novel by Otis Frampton. Introducing
Red Riding Hood.
President Grandma.
Professor Grimm.
All right, so here we can see Grandma's been turned into a president. Red Riding Hood has been turned into a superhero where her hood appears to be a cape. And then we've got, this is interesting, Professor Grimm. I'm also noticing this large monstrosity behind him, okay? Again, as we're watching, pay attention to captions and speech bubbles.
Welcome, adventure seekers, to the story of Red Riding Hood, Superhero! Ruby Topper is on her way to her grandma's house in the woods to celebrate her granny's birthday. But Ruby is no ordinary 10-year-old girl.
All right, so again, on this page, we didn't have any speech bubbles. We only had our captions. And so far, we've learned that this is an adventure story. We've learned that they're on their way to Grandma's house already. In the original version, they were at home first and then went to Grandma's. Now we're just starting straight out going to Grandma's, okay? We also know something's going on with Ruby. She's not an ordinary girl.
She's also Red Riding Hood, a hero with amazing powers. And her grandmother just happens to be the President of the United States.
I can't wait to get to Camp David, Mom. I hope Grandma likes the birthday cake we made for her.
I'm sure she'll love it, hon.
Again, I just want to point out, you're going to hear me say it a million times. Look at the order. We start at the top. We go across, then we move down. We start at the top. We go across, and we move down. And then here, we read Ruby's sentence first. Then we go to Mom's. Why? Because it's in the same order as a book. We start at the left, we go to the right. So as you guys are drawing your characters later, you'll want to make sure if your main character is going to talk first, they're on the left side. Okay? If your secondary character is going to talk next, they're on the right side. There is a reason that the illustrators put them in the positions that they're in. If Mom was first, we would read Mom's first. I'm sure she'll love it, hun. And we'd be like, she loves what? What does she love? We have no clue. Okay, so there's an order to graphic novels. It's not just pictures wherever you feel like putting them. It's still top to bottom. It's still left to right.
A short time later.
Oh no! It looks like old Professor Grimmy is up to his old tricks again.
Professor Cornelius Grimm, a mad scientist and ruthless supervillain bent on world domination. Professor Grimm was bitten by a radioactive wolf. He went mad with power. His latest scheme is to kidnap the President of the United States using his latest invention, the Big Bad Wolf Bot, a giant robot in the form of a wolf.
With my latest invention, I'll finally be able to kidnap the President of the United States.
Sorry, guys. I had a special delivery I had to go grab. Here we go.
I have to stop Grim without Mom finding out that I'm a superhero. Mom, can you pull over at the rest stop up ahead? I have to
You know. I told you not to drink so much soda before a long car ride.
I don't think that she actually has to go to the restroom. I think she's going to change into some costumage. But I do want you to notice, look here. There's no words, there's no captions, there's no dialogue, but we're still figuring things out about the comic. Okay? So here, we're not listening to anybody talk, but we're knowing that she is rushing into the restroom. Okay? We're not just going to go from the car and boom, she's in her costume. We got to show the change. Okay? So again, the pictures are extremely important and need to be extremely detailed inside of your graphic novel.
And how did Ruby acquire the red hood of power, you ask? When she was just 6 years old, Ruby accompanied President Grandma on a tour of Area 54, a mysterious base somewhere in the American Southwest. While on the tour, she wandered off and got lost in the maze of crates and items that were housed in the facility.
Okay, so notice we've had a color change. It is really super vibrant and bright up here, and now it's kind of in this brown sepia tone. That's because we're going to the past. We're about to learn how she became super. Okay, so we've switched into the past.
She happened upon a strange creature wearing a red hood and cloak.
You're adorable. Let's hug.
The alien, startled by what he thought was some kind of attack, quickly ran away, leaving behind his red hood.
So in our original version, Red's hood was a gift from Grandma. In this version, it's from an alien.
When Ruby put on the mysterious red hood and cloak, she found that she suddenly possessed amazing abilities. Whoa! Super strength, the power of flight, and powerful laser ray vision.
I'm innocent.
Dun, dun, dun.
From that day forward, Ruby Topper would be Red Riding Hood, superhero, protector of planet Earth, and the moon. Supervillains are always trying to take over the moon for some reason.
Don't worry, guys. I got this one.
Affirmative, Little Red. He's all yours. Returning to base. Roger.
Hi there, Professor Grimm. Taking another stab at world domination, huh?
I will kidnap the president, and there's nothing you can do to stop me this time, Red Riding Hood. Behold my latest triumph, the Big Bad Wolf Bot.
Cool name. It must have taken you all of 3 or 4 seconds to come up with it.
How dare you insult me?
Again, you already know. Starting top to bottom. So we read this one first. This is at the bottom, so it comes second. Okay? We read here, then we go down to our bottom panel and over to our right panel. There is an order. Also, in the original version, they were trying to eat Grandma. In this version, the big bad wolf's trying to kidnap her.
Seriously? You're a wolf man and you built a giant robot that looks like a wolf? Isn't that kind of silly?
No, it's not, you insolent brat.
My, what big hands you have. Big, but slow.
All the better to smash you with, my dear.
Also notice here, we're still having some of the same dialogue. My, what big eyes you have. What big teeth you have. It's still here. But this time, Little Red's kind of teasing, right? She's kind of being a little bit of a jerk, if we're being honest.
Holy moly! What big eyes you have.
All the better to sear you with, my dear.
Yeah, that almost tickled. How about I give you a look-see?
Ha! Your laser beams will never penetrate my exterior shields, brat. Nothing can pierce them.
Oh, really? Oh, Mr. Big Bad Wolfbot, what big teeth you have!
All the better to eat you with, you impertinent gnat.
Gross?
I've done it! I've finally defeated Red Riding Hood! I can't wait to tell Colonel Chaos and Inspector Von Evil. They're going to be super jealous.
Uh-oh.
Huh?
All right, notice what we see here in these captions. We see a lot of sounds, rumble, gurgle, fizz, fizz, okay? Beep, beep, beep. Not a lot of captions here. Actually, no captions, only one speech bubble, but a lot's going on. We know something is happening to the robot, okay? So again, it's not just pictures and one or two words. There's a purpose to each part here.
No!
I don't think he beat Little Red.
Here's a free tip, Professor Grimm. Next time, be sure to add interior shields if you plan to eat superheroes who have super awesome laser beam eyes.
It's good advice. It's a good tip.
I'll take it under advisement.
Now just sit back, relax, and enjoy Little Red's free taxi service to Edwards Air Force Base. Special delivery!
You've saved the day yet again, Red Riding Hood.
Thanks, General Huntsman. It was a real blast, as always. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really do have to pee.
Pardon?
Take care, Grimmy. It was nice searing you again.
So here we see some evidence that Little Red knew him before. It was nice searing. She meant seeing you again. In our original version, they hadn't met before. The first time they met was in the woods.
Meanwhile, back at the rest stop.
What is taking Ruby so long?
Notice again here the difference in this bubble. This is a cloud bubble. This is what we call a thought bubble. In comics, when you see bubbles in the shapes of clouds, they're being thought silently in someone's head. So this is a different type of bubble here that you could consider incorporating.
Well, that took a while, Ruby. My, what a big bladder you must have.
Farewell, adventure seekers. Join us next time for another thrilling episode of Red Riding Hood Superhero!
All right, let's take a look back at your seesaw assignment. Characters, problem, solution. I'm going to send you into a breakout room with your partners. In your breakout room, I want you to come up with the information about our graphic novel that we just read with the fairy tale characters, fairy tale problem, and fairy tale solution. Okay? Remember, fairy tales have specific types of characters. They have specific types of solutions. They have specific types of problems. Okay? What did you notice about this fairy tale? Here you go. We will come back at 9:20. Okay, 5 minutes to track these 3 items. And screen sharing will also be on for you. There you go. Let's get to it, friends. Characters, throw them at me. You've had time to talk with your group. You should be able to throw them back at me. William, Give me the characters of our fractured fairy tale, please.
Dr. Grimm and Little Red Riding Hood.
Excellent. Professor Grimm, and Professor Grimm was our talking wolf. And we have Little Red Riding Hood. Now, William, I noticed that you did not mention Grandma as a main character in this one. Why not?
Because she never had a part in the story.
Yeah. All we knew was that we were going to visit her and she was the president. That was it. She didn't ever have a panel where she was talking or interacting with Little Red Riding Hood. She was never interacting with Professor Grimm. She was just kind of existed in the world, right? Just like we know celebrities exist somewhere. They're not a main character in our life, okay? So in this version, Grandma wasn't as important. All right, our problem. Remember, fairy tale problems are usually good versus evil. That remained the case here. What was our good versus evil inside of this fairy tale? Brayden, what was our good versus evil?
Professor Grimm was trying to kidnap the president, which is Red Riding Hood's grandma.
Yes. Professor Grimm wanted to kidnap Red Riding Hood's grandma, also known as the president. Okay. That definitely sounds like an evil plan to me. So our good versus evil still holds true in this fractured version. Okay. Professor Grimm wanted to kidnap Red Riding Hood's grandma. That is also the president. Okay. I'm going a little bit faster because you were doing this in your breakout rooms, so you shouldn't be copying me right now. And if you are, you should only be copying about one thing because you should have had enough time to get the rest. So yes, I am moving faster. Our solution. Remember, in fairy tales, our solution is usually magic or a life lesson. What was our solution in this one, Aiden G?
She defeated Professor Grimm and turned him into the government.
Yes, Red defeated Professor Grimm using, I'm going to call it her magic cape, right? Using that super cape. There we go. Using her super cape powers, okay? There was some magic inside of that cape, or at least magic as we understand it. It could have been technology from an alien, but for now we'll call it magic, okay? All right, so we've talked about our characters, we've talked about our problem, we've talked about our solution. Now we're going to compare and contrast the two stories, okay? How are they the same? How are they different from each other? So this time, we're going to look at our original graphic novel of Red Riding Hood. We're going to look at our fairy tale version of Red Riding Hood. We're going to list differences. What is something that was only true for the original version? It was only true inside of our first graphic novel that we read together. Levin?
Well, another thing I noticed is that Little Red Riding Hood in the original story wasn't trash talking.
She was not trash talking, you're right. So maybe we can put that over here. So inside of this version, Little Red trash talked the wolf. Because remember, when we're doing our compare and contrast, we want to put truth statements. We want to put what did happen. We don't want to put it did not happen. We're only looking at what's true. So we can move it over there. In this version, Little Red trash talked the wolf. All right, now what about the original?
The original is that the big wolf was taller than normal.
Okay, yeah. So in this version, the wolf was very large, looked dramatically huge, okay? So in this version, the wolf was an animal that was much larger than red. In our fractured fairy tale version, the robot was much larger than red, but the animal itself was about the same. In our original version, that wolf animal was huge. And we usually see that inside of fairy tales where the evil or the bad guy is a lot bigger, okay? What's something that was true for both versions? Something that happened in both. Yes, Terrence.
So I think that in the superhero version, she was saving the day.
We're talking about both right now, though. Do you have something for
in
both of them?
both. Because she saved everybody. She saved the people that the wolf ate, and then she saved the day in superhero.
Awesome. So Little Red Riding Hood saved people in both stories. In the original version, she saved their spirit. In the fractured version, she saved the actual person of the president. But yes, she did save people in both stories. Steve, something to add?
Something to add is that both have a magical hood.
They did both have a magical hood. That is very important. So in both, red has a magical hood. In the first version, that hood's powers protected her. In the second version, that hood's powers gave her superhero abilities, but it was magic in both, okay? I'm going to give you a minute to copy that we have, and then I'm going to send you into a breakout room to finish the rest. Just like yesterday, when I'm getting ready to write, you do not have to write. I just want to hear as many ideas from you as we can get to, okay? So if you already have your 2, 2, and 2, you're done, okay? So no freaking out. You're going too fast. I can't type it. It's okay. If you have your 2, 2, and 2, we're good to go, okay? So I'm going to hear from you. I only want to focus right now on the original version. So look at your Venn diagram. Look over here on the left. What was only true about the original version? Yes, William.
Her mom got eaten.
Yes. The grandma was eaten in the original version. Not true in the fractured version, but yes in the original. Okay. Something else that was only true for the original. Yes, Aiden G.
She was nice to the wolf.
Yes, she was kind to the wolf. Okay. In the other version, she trash talked him the whole time. She teased him, right? But in this version, when they first met, she was like, "Hi, how are you? What's your name? Oh, I'm going to my grandma's house," which is crazy. Don't ever tell strangers where you're going. But that is what happened. So she was kind to the wolf, okay? Another difference for only the original version. Yes, Leah.
That she actually saw the grandmother.
She did. She saw the grandma in this version. She did not see her grandma in the original version. They were on their way there and they never made it, right? So she didn't quite get there. Awesome. Okay, now let's focus on our fractured version. What is something that was different about the fractured version from the original? Yes, Terrence.
Something that was in the fractured version is Little Red was wearing a mask.
Yes, Little Red's outfit was different, right? She was wearing a mask. The mask helped to hide her identity. So also the hood and then the mask because she was a superhero, okay? You guys will be creating your characters on Pixton. You're going to have to think about what do I want my character to look like inside of my fairy tale? Are they going to change clothes like Little Red did in our superhero version where she's just a regular girl and then boom, she's a superhero? Or are they going to be the same throughout the whole thing like they were in the fractured version? She wore the same red hood, the same blue dress the whole time. That's up to you and your decision, okay? Something else that was only true about the fractured version. Yes, Aiden G.
Her grandma did not die.
Grandma stayed alive. Stayed alive. She did. Grandma stayed alive, right? Wolf did not eat her. And even if the wolf had one, he didn't want to eat her. He just wanted to kidnap her, right? So differences there. Okay, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, your task today is to explore other fractured fairy tale versions. Okay, so on Mayan, you're going to again go to that projects that's floating at the top that I showed you yesterday. And inside of that projects are 3 other Red Riding Hood fairy tales that I'd like for you to read. Okay, this one is interesting because this one is written by the wolf. So the wolf in this version is the good character and Little Red is actually the evil character. So that's interesting. This version is how Little Red Riding Hood is told around the world. Okay, I believe there's a German version of the fairy tale. I can't remember if it's this one or Sleeping Beauty, but one of them has an African version, and then another one has a Chinese version. So that's kind of interesting too, seeing how different parts of the world tell Little Red Riding Hood. And then we also have Little Red Riding Duck. And obviously from the title, you can tell the character has changed to a duck, which is natural prey for a wolf. So that's interesting too. Okay. You're going to read these texts and think about their differences from the original fairy tale. So enjoy your reading. I want you to listen to or read each one. And I want you to remember that you're doing research right now. You are writing your fractured fairy tale starting at the end of the week. How do you want your fractured fairy tale to be structured? You're getting ideas from these texts. Okay? All right, friends, that's your work.